Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another edition of Libservative, the show of intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
Corey looks like he's really into whatever that bourbon is in his glass there. I'm proud of you, sir.
It's a locally made from Traverse City bourbon. Compliments from Bell.
And
Bell's here too
for you. Bell the Body Snatcher. Oh, they're over Corey. I don't know if you have your camera mirrored, so I don't know if that's your left shoulder or your right shoulder that he's
right. It's my right shoulder.
You had to think about it for a second.
It's about as right as our show, Dad. That's what all the liberals claim we are.
We are going to have a nice, deep discussion about medicine and the I still can't say the word politicization of medicine, which actually is something that we decided like literally 5 minutes before we started the show. We were going to go a completely different direction.
Sometimes
on this
things
beautiful March evening
fucking happen on the fly, I guess.
But before we do, we got to have some fun. Corey, what are you drinking? What are you consuming in the cultural sphere? So
Bell came over here with the intention of getting me drunk, apparently, because he brought me some Traverse City whiskey, and I have some Grolsch. Check that out with the cap. I'm about to pop it. Oh my god, I forgot how to do this.
No, you got it. Here, you want me to show you?
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, here, do this. Show must keep going.
It's like it's like legitimate Italian olive oil is what that is. The same type of bottle.
Shows you I'm about as fancy as a clip-on tie, huh?
Grolsch is good.
I'm drinking some Grolsch. I know that's what I'm saying, but I didn't know how to open it. That's why I said I'm about as fancy as a clip-on tie. I've been listening to Wingnut Dishwashers Union. I found them today, actually, and it's this anarchist folk group. This is what I've been consuming, by the way. It's like this anarchist, like, punk rock band. And, like, I shit you not, name of one of their songs is Fuck the Police. Or wait, let me find the name of this song, actually. It's Fuck Every Cop, whoever did his job. And then, like, they're just this super anarchist group. And I was sitting here listening to them, rocking out while I did my show prep or whatever. And then I've been listening to City of the Rails. It's this podcast that's talking about just like the whole counterculture of like the hobos and stuff who travel the whole country on the rails. And I'll tell you what, I'm completely infatuated with the whole culture of it. And if I ever just disappear, just know that I'm sitting in a boxcar somewhere with a jug of wine, just enjoying my best life.
Corey, were you that guy in high school that tried to put everybody on to like the obscure indie band just to be the outsider?
Absolutely.
You were that guy, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it sounds like it with the shit you
He's
consume.
like, I wrestled a bear once today, guys. Oh, do you ever hear a Cartel? Oh, like, check this out. This is Motion City soundtrack. Yeah, I was huge into the whole punk scene.
Can confirm.
Just all emo, or not emo, but scene and shit. Trying to hit up the scene chicks.
It's like, you listen to Ja Rule, you fucking loser.
Oh no, we listen to plenty of rap and stuff too, but it was always like oh fuck, what's his name? Who did the Whistle song?
I don't remember.
That wasn't Yang Yang. That was the Yang Yang was the Whisper song.
I know the song. I couldn't tell you who did it.
Yeah. Anyways, I liked rap. I liked rap back then. I remember, it's funny. I remember being in high school and everybody being at a party full of like 40 white people, and everybody rapping the words to the Lil Wayne song Oh fuck! Now I can't remember the name of the song, but I'm a ride with my motherfucking, N-word. And obviously, I'm an adult now, so I'm not going to say it. But when we were all in high school, there was
the sky's the limit,
yeah,
buddy.
sky's the limit. Yeah, you know what song?
I'm an adult now, so I'm not going to use the N-word.
And now I'm cultured and realize that saying that could ruin my entire life. But 17-year-old drunk Corey on Mohawk thought that it was fun to say with 40 other people because we fucking love that song. Because it's actually
a pint of Mohawk and 4 natty lights.
You ever heard that song "Sky's the Limit" by Lil Wayne?
I'm sure I have.
I promise you would probably have you saying the N-word today.
It was by myself.
You were rapping to it in your car.
I mean, who knows with Alexa and Siri and the FBI listening? I better watch what I say.
No, we're already marked as extremists, so it's cool.
Yeah, and we're also fascist bigots, so who gives a shit? We're both of those things.
We're both, depending on who doesn't like us.
Own it.
Exactly. That's what we love about it. Yeah. So anything else? Anything besides your obscure music that I'll never listen to?
Listen to City of the Rails, yo. That's it's gonna make you want to just pop on some Merle Haggard and hop on a train and disappear.
You know what's funny is like one of these days, one of these bands are going to reach out to us and be like, I'd really like to come on your show. But I was going to come on your show, but Dan shit on us. So I'm
Dan said the N-word. No, but I don't know what it is about this infatuation, like this romance I have with the idea of just literally just throwing it all away and not giving a fuck. And just
the silliest thing about it is like we are like the YouTube show / podcast version of the type of music that you listen to, and I just sit here and shit on it like it doesn't matter.
The obscure alternative.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, anything else for us?
I started Chris Rock's special last night, and I know it's pointless for me to mute it because it comes through Bell's microphone. I didn't hear it. You're good. Oh, I started Chris Rock's stand-up last night, but had to go to bed because it was getting late.
Way to steal my thunder, because that is what I was.
Well, I ain't got shit to say about it because I was half asleep. I started watching this. I don't really remember anything you said.
You might as well finish it. How do you finish it?
I plan on it. I just do this fucking podcast.
That is what I was consuming in the cultural sphere. Was Chris Rock's stand-up special, and my favorite thing about it is, I don't know why this is the first thing that comes to mind, is how the sort of more right-wing publications, particularly the Daily Wire, I've noticed, are like claiming Chris Rock as like this new darling of conservatism because he shit on wokeness, and he did during that special, but they completely leave out the fact that he also made a joke about white men thinking they're going to lose the country and like making fun of January 6th. They just leave that part right out of everything that they say.
Assaulting white men. Did you miss that?
Who is assaulting white men?
The joke where he's talking about assaulting white men or rewarding somebody for assaulting white men.
Yeah. Leave that part out.
Yes. I thought it was funny. I just want to make that clear. I thought that was funny as shit.
Yeah, don't talk about that on Ben Shapiro's show.
No, it was funny. I don't think it was Chris Rock's best work ever, but I think for the day and times it fit. He got some things wrong. He had a very very mainstream Democrats take on the Ukraine situation, which is one thing. But I don't give a shit because he's a comedian, right? Like I was just going to say,
you know why that doesn't matter, Dan?
Yeah.
It's just someone's personal opinion because he's a comedian, and it doesn't. Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point.
Yeah, it's when he did a really good job of towing that line between, because you know how there have been like certain comedians in the last, I don't know, basically since Trump got elected, that have been very they haven't done a very good job of towing the line between getting themselves into politics and just being fucking comedians. I think Yeah, I think Chris Rock did a good job of that in this special. He did a good job of like touching on the political stuff, but not like pretending like he's an expert. You know what I mean?
Now you know he's cultured though. He's definitely cultured.
Yeah, and he
knows
called
where
out
both
Will and
sides are
Jada.
coming
That was
from.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I got to get to that part.
It's at the very end. It's at the very end.
Very end is
It's
wild.
worth the wait.
Yes. He goes.
That's
in.
probably why
Wait.
everyone went to his show. Fuck, and then you know what I'm not consuming, Dan?
What's that?
Is right before the show, my wife knocks on the studio door and tells me and Belle that she ordered pizza. And there's some badass pizza sitting out there. And I'm just gonna be sitting here thinking about that this whole goddamn show.
Without
No, why don't
sponsoring
you
it.
say it?
Who's
Why
the
don't?
fuck?
Yeah, you can't sponsor it. Why don't, Corey? Why don't you say it
My
like you said it to
fucking
me?
wife
pre-show?
decided to order some pizza right before we decided to start recording.
My
like, out of
fucking wife
spite.
decided to order some pizza.
Out of spite. Like she was in the window just eating it and laughing at me and giving me the finger. And I'm just sitting here stuck with liquor and beer.
She literally just went outside to the window right across from your eyes and just started licking the bottom of the pizza.
Intentionally. She waited until I stepped into the studio.
Just
was
started
good.
licking that. Just
This
started.
is why I'm
licking
going to
that
end up on a
pizza's-
train, Dan.
Just started licking that pizza's undercarriage, going, "This is what you're going to do to me tonight."
Whoa.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I
Did
gave
your
it
mic
thumbs
go
up
out?
for the listeners.
Yeah, did your mic go out?
No, that
Yeah,
mic's here.
anyway. Chris Rock special. Check it out, and then please go make fun of Ben Shapiro and all the other right wing pundits who are like now claiming Chris Rock as a
So
sort of conservative darling.
it's
Yes.
kind of funny because like they're cherry picking all the stuff out, right? If there were all
Mhm.
these old conservatives, they'd be like, well, maybe I'll watch that nice black fellow. And they're gonna watch it and they're gonna be like, this isn't what Ben Shapiro said it was at all.
Well, and that's what's so funny, right? The cherry picking that both sides of the cultural debate tend to do all the time. The right, you know what's funny is that the right's traditionally, at least in the last few years, been much better at doing that, where they basically just take the outcasts of the left and just claim them as their own. We've talked about this multiple times, and this is not that. This is not what that is. Although I do have this understanding that on Black Twitter, which I am not a ranking member, of course, apparently that Chris Rock is seen as a comedian that like quote unquote white people like. So they're more on Will and Jada's side. I don't know if there's any truth to that. It's just something I've heard rumored about.
I'll
Anybody
tell you
know
what,
anybody on Black Twitter?
I've been trying to find this app for Black Twitter for years, and
I know, man. It's crazy. I don't know where it is.
can't
Check
find
this out. From what I've seen myself personally, it's either people from the left either love it or they hate it. They're either really big Will Smith fans because they were Will Smith fans growing up and it was just a bias towards Will Smith, or the opposite towards Chris Rock. But it's pretty much 50-50 and nobody's cherry picking anything. And like I said, it's either they're all in or they're all out because they're Will Smith fans or they're Chris Rock fans. And that's basically what it boils down to.
So,
on that side.
in other words, Bell is our spy for Black Twitter because we're bigots and racists, so we're not allowed on Black Twitter. So Bell hasn't been taken into that demonization yet. So he's still allowed.
Yes.
I'm not a spy though.
I didn't mean for that to be awkward. Anyway, how
I
about,
would say that.
Speaking of Daily Wire, you guys see how they're mad about Black Tinkerbell? Just real quick. This is
Aren't they
hilarious.
more mad about chocolate?
They are. We'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to make it known that I was, just joking about the racist and bigot thing because we had this discussion when The Little Mermaid. Remember when like right-wing Twitter and like the Daily Wire and Glenn Beck and all those people were pitching a bitch about the fact that the Little Mermaid was going to be black. Remember that?
A little bit, yeah.
Now apparently,
I know it was a big deal to them, but to me, it was like, just fucking kick rocks, dude.
Disney is apparently casting Tinkerbell as black as well. And Corey, I know you're with me on this. I look at this and I go, I don't give a fuck what race a fictional character is.
Yeah, not just a fictional character, but a fictional character that is an imaginary creature.
Like a mermaid or a fairy or pixie or whatever the hell Tinkerbell's supposed to be.
Yeah.
My
It
hope
doesn't
is
fucking matter what color they are.
just hire the best actor or actress.
Because
This
they're
isn't
not
historically
fucking real.
accurate. There's no such thing as a black pixie.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So wait a minute. What if Tinkerbell turns out to be not only black but also a lesbian? And then what if instead of being a lesbian, what if she's like trans? She's the first lady pixie with a dick. Then they're really gonna lose their shit.
You'd probably see Ben Shapiro's caterpillar eyebrows just fucking flutter.
No, the first thing you would see is a tweet from Matt Walsh that says, "They're coming for your children."
Yeah, they're coming. They're coming for your children by making these fucking imaginary creatures a little bit more. I don't know. I want to use the word inclusive, but yeah, inclusive. I guess.
Is there a point to be made that maybe it feels a little forced? Like, is there a point to be made in that realm? It does, but again, I don't give a shit about things like that.
I really don't either. I really
like the first one was when was the possibility of Idris Elba playing James Bond. Again, a fictional character, but it's a little bit different because James Bond is not a cartoon, which is even more fucking ridiculous when it's a cartoon.
Is Idris Elba playing 007?
I don't know if that actually went through, but remember when that was rumored that
because he would play a badass 007.
The next James Bond was going to be black, or the next James Bond was going to be a female. Remember that? You don't remember that? It's okay.
No, I don't. Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, Frank? I just want to say hi to Frank. And I did not see the city. I did not see the state of the city last night.
I'm hoping that most of our listeners are going, what fucking city are you talking about?
We're from the city of Sterling Heights. But no, Frank, I didn't see him.
Kind of wondering too.
What next we got on the docket, Dan?
Do you want to make fun of the Daily Wire for their chocolates?
Oh, yeah, we could definitely do that.
I'm sorry. I don't normally like to pick on one publication, but the Daily Wire this week just made it really fucking easy. Maybe next week it'll be the New York Times. I do want to make fun of the Washington Post as well. But the Daily Wire is now apparently grifting off of fucking $12 chocolate bars. Or what was it, Bell? Like $7? $7 for Jeremy's chocolates, because apparently Hershey's went woke. And now the Daily Wire's got to release their own chocolates to, stick it to a multi-billion-dollar company as if nobody's going to go buy their chocolates anymore. And I don't know how. Like, you got to believe that even conservatives know this is a grift, but they just need to make themselves feel better. Well, if I buy this chocolate, I'm sticking it to the wokies. That's not how this works, dude.
It's insane. Like, yeah, and then like the prices. Bell brought them up in our pre-show the other day. It's like $25 for 4 bars.
Oh, he meant Frank meant City of Detroit, by the way. I just had to throw that out there. I didn't even realize the state of the city of Detroit was last night.
Oh shit. Oh. No, yeah, I didn't watch.
Sorry, it. We're too busy focusing on chocolate bars to pay attention to the state of the city of Detroit.
There's a point, though.
The city of Detroit, they're doing okay. They're doing better than most inner cities. It's probably the summation of
what that.
Yeah, because it's one of the only. It's like Detroit and Miami are the two only like inner cities who have like a decrease in crime.
Is that because everybody's leaving? Still leaving?
No, it's probably a little taste of fascism and a little taste of everyone leaving, because I say fascism because they do the that facial recognition thing with Project Greenlight, and they have the shot spotter to where like if the shot goes off in the city, there's like sensors that triangulate where the shot happens. So if any black person happens to be walking down that street, they assume it's him
when the shot goes off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come with me,
And
Reggie.
so like there's a lot of negative connotations to that stuff, but at the same time, overall the crime in the city is going down. But you could also attribute that to the fact that the chief of police told everyone to get a gun because it's your constitutional right. There's a lot of factors. Detroit's like weird. Detroit
is weird. That's never been the case.
It's not this cookie cutter thing like Mayor Lightfoot. Yeah, I know.
It's a good old American Wild West city.
Yeah, it's not a cookie cutter scenario like every other major inner city. That is just taking guns from everyone and then removing bails and stuff like that. Detroit's a little bit different. And I'm assuming I don't know much about Miami, but I'm assuming it's something kind of similar going on there. Like the chief of police from here was about to run for governor, but it didn't go very far. And so he said the mayor is fixing it up and pouring big bucks into it. And so that's true, but there's a lot of pushback from people who live in the neighborhoods because a lot of that money is going to the inner city.
It's always
like
been the same. It's always been this. This has always been the same problem with Detroit.
On paper,
always
kind
been
of
the
makes
same problem
sense
with Detroit
because that's where the money revenue is to make money to put it into the neighborhoods. Sure, but
yeah,
is that
happening?
Is that happening? Is the question? Is that really happening? Because it's not.
There's always been the the kind of trickle down economics argument of the way the city of Detroit is run, which is okay, if we pour a bunch of money into downtown, it'll eventually trickle out into the neighborhood, and that's just never what fucking happens. At the end of the day, you get the city of Detroit paying for I don't even know what the percentage is, but like half of Little Caesars Arena to get more white people from the suburbs to come down and watch hockey games. Like that's not helping. That's not helping the
dude. What is the tax incentives LCA got?
I don't know, but it was that.
At the same time,
it's not just LCA.
We did bring.
It's not just LCA. It's every stadium
LCA,
that's
Ford
ever been
Field,
built
America
in every city.
Yeah,
I mean it's
all that.
Yeah. So this idea that building up downtown is somehow helping the neighborhoods, like that's been the argument for fucking since I was a kid, and it's just never been the case. It's never worked out that way.
They use taxpayer dollars to build these big ass arenas. Oh, it's gonna bring you guys money. It's gonna bring you guys money, but the taxpayers never see a dime of that money, and then the owners never pay for the arenas. That's what happened with LCA. The promise was that the Illich family was going to use taxpayer money to build LCA, and then they were going to build affordable housing, right? Mm-hmm. And all their properties. They got all this property. They're going to build affordable housing for the people of Detroit. They have not broke ground on one project.
Nope. It's just condos that are $200,000, $300,000.
You got big parking
and you know what frustrates
bullshit.
Me about that? Is fucking Joe Louis Arena. Now, this is going on a little tangent, like a local tangent about our city. People who don't live here don't really understand this. But Joe Louis Arena, there wasn't
if you live in an inner city, if you live near a big city, you can understand what we're going through.
Right. But Joe Louis Arena, like uniquely, there wasn't a bad goddamn seat in that house because the steps were so steep that like everyone was just on top of the arena. And tickets for a Detroit Red Wings game when they were fucking going to the playoffs every year was probably like what $40-$50, and then
up in the nosebleeds maybe.
Yeah, up in the nosebleeds. But then they go and put it in LCA where the seating isn't nearly as good, but the audio is better, and now those same tickets are like $70-$80. But the seat's a little bit more cushy, and which you don't give a fuck about because you're going to see a sports game to get drunk with your boys.
More things. Joe Louis never hosted like concerts or anything like that. LCA
no, they
does now.
No, they did. That's not true. They did. We went and saw Bird.
They did, but they did, but it sounded like shit.
Right.
The acoustics were terrible.
Big went there. You got Kid Rock still going to Pine Knob, and all these people still going to Pine Knob. They weren't going to Joe Louis.
Hey, you keep your hands off Pine Knob. I have a special place in my heart for that.
No, I'm not shitting on Pine Knob. I love Pine Knob. They went to Pine Knob because it was better.
You shut your whore mouth when Pine Knob is talking to you.
Yeah. It's not DTE. Fuck DTE. It's Pine Knob
Oh.
Theater.
That's
Well,
why I call it
actually, they
Pine
just changed
Knob.
it. Yeah, they just changed it back, right?
Yeah, they did. It's
Yes, they did.
Pine Knob again. Yeah, it's Pine Knob again.
Beautiful.
Anyway,
Well, now that all of our
We got off
listeners
on a-
outside of Metro Detroit have no idea,
we've
what
gotten
we're
ourselves
talking
on a fun little tangent here. Anyway, the yeah, everybody's listening to this going, I thought you guys were going to talk about like medicine and politics. Anyway, here we go. So we've heard this story on multiple publications, multiple cable news networks of these 4 American citizens that were from, I believe, South Carolina that were kidnapped in Mexico. 2 of them were killed. 2 of them have been recovered. And not only just like in Mexico, but like 2 miles from the border, which is an interesting little caveat. And from what I'm able to understand, Bell's pulled up a whole bunch of shit that I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to all of it. But we appreciate his hard work anyway. That these folks were kidnapped by supposed cartel members. I don't think we're ever going to know at this point, because that would be a revelation that a lot of people wouldn't want to get out. And mistaken for drug runners. Bell, is that what I'm to understand? Is that what they were mistaken for?
All right. Here's the story from start to finish. Okay, so
Here we go.
supposedly what had happened was these 4 people went down to Mexico for an elective surgery, some cosmetic surgery, but there's a lot of things that are classified as cosmetic surgery that are really aren't. As Dan brought up to us earlier, dentistry, and
Yep.
I mean
Skin
we're
grafts
making a
from
point,
burns
skin
and
grafts,
stuff
people
like
that
that.
got burned that want procedures done. That's fine. They go to Mexico because it's 75 to 80% cheaper. And they went down there and they were mistaken for Haitian drug runners, apparently, by the cartel, supposed cartel members. And then they were kidnapped. 2 of them died, and then 2 of them were recovered and brought back.
So the point that Bell brings up here is the cosmetic surgery part of this, right? So these folks went down, and they weren't all having cosmetic surgery, but I think it was a group of 4. I think one of them was having a cosmetic surgery, but that's all you see in any publication, right? Is that they went down for cosmetic surgery. First, they reported it as medicine or a medical procedure. Now it's been narrowed down to cosmetic surgery. I don't know what to believe. I don't know who to believe, but here's what the case is. First of all, if it was truly cosmetic surgery, it could have been dental, because we know that dental insurance in the United States is trash for just about everyone. No matter who your healthcare provider is or how rich you are, your dental insurance generally sucks ass. So if it
Why you
was
brushing
that,
floss?
but like it's just so vague, right? The phrase cosmetic surgery, and because when you say cosmetic surgery, it sounds like, oh, they just went down. They went down there to have a facelift, or they went down there to have some Botox, so, or a butt lift, or whatever the fuck it is.
It's less cosmetic surgery, and they stopped using that term, and it's more elective procedure.
Okay, now it's elective procedure.
Elective
so
procedure.
all you have to do is keep pushing. All you have to do is keep pushing the terminology down to a less severe area.
I think it's a
in
more
order to-
severe area, so you can pump the numbers up. I mean, you look right now, any publication, you got New York Post right wing, and then you got New York Times, and you got BBC. Everyone has the same number. 1.2 million Americans are going to Mexico, just to Mexico, for elective procedures every year.
Right. And so, but the reason they use the terminology elective procedure is because it makes it sound less severe that they would have to go there, is what I'm getting at.
Right.
So what you can do is you can spin the story how we've seen the mainstream media spinning the story. If you're conservative, it's like, look at how evil these fucking Mexicans are. This is why we don't want them coming into our country. 2 miles over the border, they're murdering Americans, right? So that's how the conservatives spin it. And then you have the left spinning it in a way of like, see, this is just a procedure that they wanted to go get, and they couldn't come back because they were murdered in a dangerous area. And it's just, you can't. To me, you can't
spin that so many ways.
Yeah, you can't
Why are the
overstress
Mexicans to make all
the
that
bottom line of the story, which is people are leaving certain healthcare systems to get procedures done. That's the way I see this story, and that's whether you're a left-wing publication or a right-wing publication, nobody's reporting it that way.
Yeah, no one's asking
Why?
the question why they have to go, why they have to
Real
cross a
issue.
border into a country that's a little bit more destabilized than most
Is
first
it-
world
so-
countries.
Is it an anti-capitalist story, or is it an shitty healthcare system story? I think it's probably a little bit of both. I look at this and I go, this story made, I think all three of us kind of dig into the medical tourism side of things. And it's not just an American problem, right? Like, there are people that leave Canada for medical tourism because they can't get a procedure done for 6 months.
What would be considered an elective surgery?
Especially if it's a quote unquote elective surgery, right? So,
Yeah,
but
hip
think about
so an elective surgery would also, we didn't even mention this, but an elective surgery could also be considered a hip replacement. A surgery to remove a bone spur. Those are also considered elective surgeries.
Yeah, an elective surgery could essentially be anything that's not life-threatening.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I was almost about to cut you off and say that same goddamn thing.
But seriously, like, if I dislocated my elbow and a doctor said, well, in order for you to have full function of your elbow again, you're going to have surgery. That's technically an elective surgery, but also, if I don't get it, I'm not going to have full use of my elbow ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not any way a human being should have to live.
No, you're absolutely right.
So the term elective surgery, it sounds benign, doesn't it? That's how you can spin the story, to make it seem like, hey, the fact that Mexicans are bad, evil people, if you're a right-wing publication, you can tell that story instead.
If you're,
because have you seen all the?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll
I
go.
was gonna say 14 million people globally travel every year for medical tourism
For
14
elective
million.
surgery.
globally.
14 million people just to get some tits, Dan.
Yeah, and and that's the thing, is like, when you think about globally and how different everybody's healthcare systems are, and about how the United States, our healthcare system is great in certain ways, in that we have, the cutting edge of most medicine, but it's fucking expensive, right? So there's the downside. We have great medical care, but it's super fucking expensive. Then you have places that have a more socialized medical system, where it's easier and cheaper to get care, but the medical system just isn't quite as good. So
yeah, it's not that it's not
this idea
good,
that
it's
everybody
just the wait
thinks.
time.
Yeah, the idea that everybody thinks that this complete free market medical system is the way to go, or this completely socialized medical system is the way to go. They both have downsides, and they both have people that need to clearly leave their countries to get the treatment that they need based on their circumstances.
All right, chill out, Tom Sowell.
Wait, what?
Tom Sowell. He says there's no solutions, only trade-offs.
Oh yeah. Oh, Thomas Sowell.
Yeah, Thomas Sowell.
Who the fuck are you talking about?
Tom Sowell.
I mean, there's some truth to that, though, right? Because I think that's the biggest issue we have with most issues in our society, is like, everybody thinks they have the answer. Everybody thinks they have the perfect fucking solution to everything, and that's what gets us into these ideological fucking silos, because you're not willing to see nobody's ever willing to see the trade-off. I think this is I think medical tourism, which is something that I don't feel like anybody's talking about. We weren't talking about it until this story came out, and we haven't even scratched the surface on this topic, and even we can see how this fits into political silos.
Yeah.
Really, you can Google right now, person pulls tooth, and you will find tons of videos of people from everywhere.
in the world, right?
If medical, if medical coverage is so good here or there, why are people pulling their own teeth?
I work
I've
with a
never
guy.
understood.
Exactly why.
I work with
nobody
a
has it
guy
figured
who's
out.
come in. I work with a guy who's come into work, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, I fucking pulled that bitch out yesterday." What the fuck? It's like, are you kidding me?
I have never understood why the fuck dentistry is not included in overall healthcare. Because when you think about the preventative measures you can do when you just have healthy teeth, like think about all of the overall health problems that are caused by bad fucking teeth.
Yeah, and you know what? And when you say that, I actually want to reiterate
vice versa.
this because of the fact that I remember being like 17 or 18 years old, and this little thing stuck with me. That there was a study that like bad dental hygiene can lead to heart attacks because plaque builds up on your teeth. Yeah, plaque builds up on your teeth, and that plaque, like when you get a prick or something in your mouth, if any of that plaque gets into your bloodstream, your heart, all of your blood runs through your heart. That's the pump that gets everything moving. That eventually that plaque buildup can get through your bloodstream into your heart and then cause heart disease or a heart attack.
Oh, here we go, Corey. It's a cabal. It's a cabal. The reason it's a conspiracy. The reason we don't include dentistry in healthcare is because the money's in the medicine.
You're absolutely right.
Preventative measure.
4 out of 5 dentists that fucking recommend my toothpaste. What's the 5th doctor have to say?
That's
it's a cabal. Get Alex Jones on the case. He's got it covered.
Yeah, I think it's a Mitch Hedberg joke. Actually, he goes, "I want the opinion of the 5th doctor that said don't use this toothpaste."
Oh yeah, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend.
Yeah, it's like, what's the 5th one got to say? Why is he saying don't take this?
Dude, that's so funny because like that's a Mitch Hedberg joke that like the QAnon people, or I would even say the Blue Anon people, right? Because they're both equally fucking crazy with conspiracies on the left and right. That's a Mitch Hedberg joke that they would take seriously. They'd look at that commercial and go, 4 out of 5 dentists? Why not 5 out of 5? I want to talk to that. I want to talk to that 5th one.
I want to talk to that 5th dentist.
A lot of doctors consider dentists equal to hairdressers.
That's bullshit.
Since the 1800s.
Well, yeah, because barbers
insane.
Before like dentistry, and
barbers used to pull teeth. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Barbers used to pull teeth and bloodlet.
Yep. That's
why the barber pole. That's why the barber pole is red. That's why the barber pole is red and blue.
That's why George Washington died, right? They just bloodlet him to death. Because they're like, well, you got ghosts in your blood, and you did cocaine about it. It didn't work, so we're just gonna drain you of all your blood.
Talk about a motherfucker with bad teeth.
Wood.
Yeah. That's well documented.
No. Everybody says he had wood teeth. He had teeth made out of antlers and bone.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah, that's a rumor. That's an urban legend.
But it also had like springs. Like it was wild.
It was concocted of wild shit. It was not all one material. It was like concocted of several things. It was gross.
Right, but the George Washington's teeth were made of wood that's an urban legend.
Yeah.
He had shitty fucking teeth though.
Yeah, he had really bad teeth.
This much we know.
Which I'm sure. So imagine like if the president of the United States had teeth like that. Imagine what the common person had. Like,
I don't know.
But marbles to my jaw and hoping for the best.
That's not where I thought you were going with this. Where I thought you were going with that was like, imagine if the president of the United States had shitty teeth today. Imagine what Twitter would say. Imagine what would be all over Twitter.
I bet you
if Joe Biden had shitty teeth.
I bet you Joe Biden's teeth are fake.
They probably are, but you can't tell because of medical stuff. Anyway.
Dentistry? Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not that drunk tonight. I swear to God.
I probably more drunk than you at this point. I
just got to say right now, some of his teeth were human. Some of his teeth were cow teeth. Some of them were horse teeth. Some of them were ivory.
And some of them were the teeth of dead redcoats.
Some of them
Of
were
the
lead
redcoats he
tin
killed.
alloy, some of them were copper, and some of them were silver. Some were brass. This guy just had a mouthful.
I'm surprised none were made of lead.
He had a
I was gonna say he just had one of everything.
he had a smorgasbord of teeth.
That's what people are doing now, though, right? People now have gold teeth and teeth with diamonds on them. And
But that's not the smorgasbord. It's like one thing. All of your teeth are one
have you
thing.
seen Tekashi 6ix9ine's teeth?
It's like this guy took
That's
a
one of
trophy.
everything.
Yeah.
It's like this guy
But
took
that's a
trophy
grill,
for
isn't it?
everything he killed
The snitch Tekashi 6ix9ine.
and he put it in his mouth. Killed a horse.
And he's like, this'll work.
Killed a cow. Had a steak. I need to chew it up. Here's a tooth.
Does that make George Washington weird, or does that make him more of a badass?
It makes him more of a badass to me.
That's what I thought. He's canceled though. He's a slave owner.
He's
Fuck George
canceled.
Washington. He's a slave owner. He owns slaves. He's a piece of shit.
It's funny you say that, actually, because that's actually a weird thought I was having, like a weird little rabbit hole I was going down in my brain the other day. When everyone talks shit about like colonialism and stuff, and how like the Brits were colonialists, and that all these different countries they're colonialists, and they try to say America was a colonialist, founded in colonialism. But when you really think about it, America was founded in telling the colonial country to fuck off. Now, granted, decades later, we had leaders who were like, "Well, I'd like to get a taste of that colonialism, that imperialism." But when America was founded, it was literally telling the biggest country who was all about colonialism to fuck you and leave us alone.
Well, isn't European colonialism one of those? I was thinking about this the other day. Isn't European colonialism one of those things that like the victors tell the story, right? So the part of the issue that part of the contention that you have with a European colonialism is that you have this sort of I guess you would call it this idea on the cultural left that like white people were the only people that have ever colonized anything, and they're the most evil because they're the only people that have ever colonized anything. But isn't that just because the victors tell the story? Because colonization has existed since the beginning of fucking civilization. The Native Americans used to colonize the fuck out of each other, all of each other. Most of Africa has been at war colonizing each other since long before the Europeans came along. The Europeans just did it the best. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a new concept.
Yeah, they just figured out how to capitalize.
It's like the old Eddie Izzard joke, right? The only thing that the European colonials had was the cunning use of flags. They just stuck a flag in the ground and it was theirs. Nobody else did that before.
That's pretty good. Yeah. As soon as you said the cunning use of flags, I was thinking about flagmanship and how ships used to communicate with flags. Like there's a flag for every letter of the alphabet and
right
symbols and stuff. And I was like, oh, you might be right. You might be onto something with the Navy, but they were just the first ones to call. I'm gonna put this flag here. This is mine now.
Take a closer look at colonialism. Of course, it's easy for you to say. I'm a white guy with blonde hair. I'm a fucking Aryan.
But
so nobody wants to know what I have to say.
No, it's not that I don't want to know. It's they just don't give a shit.
No,
yeah.
It's for another time.
A question? I like a question. I like a good question.
Well, I was just gonna ask if we didn't kill off so many natives with disease and illness. Do you think that we would be more primitive and less colonialized? Because we killed off enough natives. It was around 200 million to create global cooling.
Wait, America killed 200 million Native Americans?
When we came here, we
That
killed
can't be
enough
right.
natives to create global cooling. There's proof.
Well, yeah, but a lot of that was done by mistake, right? A lot of that was
Right.
like, "Ooh, you gave them smallpox blankets.
What I'm
Yeah,
saying,
people that didn't even understand what the fuck bacteria was gave out some smallpox blankets.
Oh, like
That's
it
why-
was intentional.
That's why I'm playing the what
Yeah.
if game. The what if game. What if we didn't wipe them out with disease and illness? Do you think we'd be more primitive and less colonialized? Because we colonialize the fuck out of these people.
Well, we forced them to live to our way of life.
Exactly. That's my point.
Oh, that if we didn't do that, where we would be.
They didn't have power in numbers because we wiped them out.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like the way Europeans colonized was all in good faith and it was a good thing. I'm not saying it was a good thing
No,
all the way
neither am I.
through.
Neither am I.
But what I'm saying is that colonization was not a new concept when the Europeans came to the New World.
No.
It had been going on long before that, and it's been going on since from other people besides people that look like me.
Yeah. And they didn't even look like you at
piece of
first.
shit.
Dude, I'm
They were
getting
prob-
canceled for this
they were
episode.
Spaniards.
100%.
Spaniards.
No, you've
And-
literally been doing nothing but giving up disclaimers.
For white people?
Yeah, you're like, no, I'm white and blonde hair. Don't take anything I'm saying as
Yeah,
fact.
don't listen to what I have to say. I just have blonde hair and
Hey,
really,
Europeans
really
weren't the first people for land conquest. I know that.
Okay, Genghis Khan.
Hey,
There you go.
it is what
Say
it
it
is.
right. Say it right. It's Genghis Khan.
Is it Genghis? Are you sure?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
God damn
Yes.
it.
Genghis.
I'm just over here being an intellectual idiot.
Bet you call them gifs.
I mean, I just got
You
myself
bet I
canceled.
call him GIFs. I call him Garages.
I just
You
sat
think
here and
that-
defended colonialism for fucking 20 minutes. I am so canceled. It's over for me. See you guys. This is why we brought you in, Bell, because we knew I was going to be gone soon because I
I was gonna
just
say, I
can't
tried
keep
to
my
help.
mouth shut.
Try to help.
Oh man, we're 47 minutes in. We haven't even gotten to any of our banners yet.
Who cares? Keep
I know.
going.
Do you want to, since we're talking about medicine, you want to get to what I wrote in my notes as quote unquote more Fauci stuff, because this is all you. And I'm just going to give a reaction because I'm nothing but a dirty fucking blonde colonialist.
Sorry.
Massive vaccines. Why we still give a damn?
Why do we
pretty
still
good.
give a damn? I can't
All right.
imagine. I'm listening,
So-
but I'm going to pee.
So we still give a damn because Cochrane, the Cochrane Library recently came out with a study labeled "Physical Interventions to Interrupt or Reduce the Spread of Respiratory Viruses." Now, the background of this study was viral pandemics of acute respiratory infections pose a global threat. Examples are influenza, H1N1, and SARS, and COVID-19. And antiviral drugs and vaccines may be insufficient to prevent their spread. This is an update of a Cochrane review last published in 2020, and they include the studies from the current COVID-19 pandemic. So the main results of this study that they did was they included 11 new RCTs. So RTC is a randomized controlled test. And in this update, it had a 610 or roughly 611,000 participants. In this update, bringing the total number of RCTs to 78. 6 of the new trials were conducted during the COVID-19 pandemic, 2 from Mexico and 1 each from Denmark, Bangladesh, and England and Norway. They identified 4 ongoing studies, of which 1 is completed but unreported, evaluating masks concurrent with the COVID-19 pandemic. So it goes on to talk about how, so I'm on the CochraneLibrary.com, and it goes on to talk about medical surgical masks compared to no masks, and that they said there was little to no benefit, and 95 and P2 masks, little to no benefit. And with hand hygiene, there was a small benefit with washing your hands. So the author's conclusions was the high risk of bias. And so this is what they say, to show that to admit any sort of bias they might have. The high risk of bias in the trials, variation in outcome measurement, and relatively low adherence with the intervention during the study hampers drawing firm conclusions. There were additional RCTs during the pandemic related to physical interventions, but a relatively paucity given to the importance of the question of masking and its relative effectiveness and concomitant measures of mask adherence, which would be highly relevant to the measurement of effectiveness, especially in the elderly and young children. There is uncertainty about the effects of face masks. The low to moderate certainty of evidence means our confidence in the effect estimate is limited, and that the true effect may be different from the observed estimate of the effect. The pooled results of the RCTs did not show a clear reduction in respiratory viral infection with the use of medical and surgical masks. There were no clear differences between the use of medical and surgical masks compared to N95 masks and the healthcare workers when used in routine care to reduce respiratory viral infection. Hand hygiene is likely to modestly reduce the burden of respiratory illness, and though this effect was also present when the laboratory-confirmed influenza were analyzed separately, it was not found to be a significant difference for the latter of the two outcomes. Harms associated with physical interventions were under-investigated. There is need for large, well-designed RCDs addressing the effectiveness of many of these interventions in multiple settings and populations, as well as the impact of adherence of effectiveness, especially in those most at risk for ARIs. So with this, coupled with that spokesperson from the CDC, in that I wish I had the site to cite the article or the actual interview, but someone from the CDC under oath was being asked if the CDC did any studies on the effectiveness of masks. And they said, well, no, because they worked for everything else, so we assume they'd work for this. So there's never been any actual studies on this. And everyone just said, yes, put a mask on. It makes sense. It works. But this is a co-trained study that says it probably didn't. And just for the sake of it being one-cited article, the co-trained library, I found an article from the NIH.gov that says, which is the National Institute of Health, at the government website. They said, our experience confirms that most co-trained reviews are of good standard. And this is a considerable achievement, especially given the unpaid and voluntary nature of the work. So the NIH thinks that co-train is a reliable source. And co-train is saying that of all the studies they looked at and all the evidence they compiled, that masks were negligible at best.
That was a really roundabout way, and I'm proud of you, Corey, of saying masks never fucking worked in the first place. I like that you cited everything because everybody, because you know how people get online, they're like, source? You
Dude,
got a
yeah,
source?
that's just it. Like we learned that at Specs Howard, according to the article.
Yeah.
It's
You
not
got a
us saying
source?
it. These are big brain fuckers who are way smarter than you or I who are saying this.
Yeah, that masks
Including
never
our
worked.
government.
Even N95s never really worked, or was really, it was quite negligible.
It's interesting, right? Because when you really think about it, like all the orifices you have where a virus can penetrate your immune system, you got your eyes, your ears, you cover your mouth and nose. Like, honestly, it makes sense that might help. That's 1, 2, 3 less orifices that something can get into, but it's just you have so many more that it can.
Right, but when you think about like the tininess of a viral particle, which is inconceivably small for most people that aren't like virologists to understand how inconceivably small it actually is. Yeah, I could totally see an N95 mask not making a lick of fucking difference when it comes to viral particles. I mean, if you look at what an N95 mask is, I could see it stopping, vapor, filtering out vapors when you're spray painting or whatever the hell else. But a viral particle is significantly even smaller than that. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised to learn that even N95 masks didn't work. I'm glad we all felt better, and me included, because I wore them. I'm glad we all felt better while we were wearing them, but to find out that they were not working at all is pretty fucking hilarious and fantastic.
I did it because there wasn't studies like this out, and it made complete sense that it makes sense. Like, hey Dan, real quick,
Corey, before you finish, we got Bright Eyes in the house.
Hey Bright Eyes. Also, we got Ryan and we got Oviedo. Hey everyone, how's it going?
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan's here. And like it made sense to me where it was like, hey, real quick, let me put a mask on and cough in your face, and then let me take the mask off and cough in your face, and tell me which one you feel more.
Well, wait a minute, because there's a difference, right? Because like right at the beginning when we were listening, we were told that it was all what was it? The larger particles, the spittle, right? So when that was the case, okay, now masks make sense because that's why surgeons wear masks while they're performing surgery, to where like the spittle that comes out of their mouth doesn't go into the fucking wound. It doesn't have anything to do with vapors, right? It's just all this. But then quickly it became, oh shit, no, it's definitely not the spittle. It's definitely and like I feel like a dumbass because I feel like we should have known that. Like, how did this? There's no way this virus would spread this fast and throughout this much of the world through nothing but spittle. You know what I mean? It's just like logically, it doesn't even make sense. But we were all fucking morons at the beginning, listening to whatever the hell anybody had to say, and we went with it.
You mean we relied on the experts?
Just one quick question. One quick question. All right. So you got people making all these homemade masks and wearing surgical masks rather than N95s. Do you think if everybody was wearing an N95, it would have made a difference?
Ooh, that's tough to know. That's a good question, though. That's tough to know.
I mean,
according to the study, no, because it was negligible.
It's tough to say. How do you gather data?
It's an interesting question, though.
Yeah.
Literally, if every single human being, everywhere they went, was wearing an N95, would it have made a difference?
Rather than the one my mom made me. Because
that article actually cites that. It says that it was negligence or negligible between the surgical mask and the N95 mask. Like comparatively between the two.
In other words, like viral vapors are far smaller. Viral particles are far smaller than anything an N95 mask could actually block. Right? Okay. That's what it's saying.
That's a good answer.
So,
and then
to answer your question,
I want to touch on this.
No, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Okay.
I'm the expert here.
Point blank. Hey, that's based on the information you're given.
Yeah, right? It is. Yeah.
And then I just want to touch on this one real quick. I'm going to share this screen because this is from New Zealand's healthcare. And based on this right here, it's showing that vaccines are even negligible at best. So look at these numbers. And that was a shitty segue. I get it.
No,
I don't care.
So this fits because these are recent vaccine numbers coming. You said from New Zealand, right?
Yeah, and this is updated weekly. So when you look at these vaccination details, vaccinated status when reported as a case, the first one is no doses received prior to being reported as a case. 79,852 people were total cases that had COVID. 2,800 were vaccinated. And then 141 were put into ICU care.
No,
partially vaccinated.
2,900 were hospitalized.
Yeah. And then 141 were put into ICU.
Correct.
I don't necessarily. So the two that I'm focusing are fully vaccinated and fully vaccinated, boosted, and non-vaccinated. And the reason why I say that is because the total case number. Partially vaccinated is only 18,000. So that's literally like a quarter of the other numbers. So there's only 18.
So that's like people that like got COVID in between their first and second vaccination, right?
Yeah, probably.
Which
and
actually,
I don't know if New Zealand. So I know that places like Israel and the UK, they count getting COVID as being vaccinated. So I don't know if this counts for that. I didn't look into it. So I don't want that number. I'm not excluding it. It's something that's notable, but I'm not using that for the comparison because the total cases number is
that's
enough.
fair.
But when it comes to fully vaccinated, at least 7 days before reported, now that's 63,000. So that's only, like less than 25% of a difference between non-vaccinated and fully vaccinated people. and the number is exactly the same. So then you go down to receive booster. The booster is at least 7 days before. So that's 100. Actually, that's 1 million people, and they got 365. So honestly, I'm here now actually double checking my work because that number is a lot bigger. But received a booster on top of their fully vaccinated. There's 365 of them that are in ICU. So
That went into ICU. Okay.
yeah. So it's looking like the vaccine overall isn't really doing much. I mean, I guess we could do some math real quick. Let's see what those numbers are because I mean,
even so, I'll let you do the math, but I'll say this while I'm working. It's like either way, it's just another piece of information that we have that suggests that the vaccines do not work like we were told they were fucking supposed to work. And like, it's okay to be upset about that. You know what I mean? Because like when everything got started, I was selfish to the point of like I looked at it from a selfish perspective. I was like, God damn it, can you fuckers just get vaccinated so we can get back to normal? Like, that's how I looked at it. I wasn't worried about getting sick. I wasn't worried about dying. Like, I fell for the authoritarian trope of, God damn it, just get vaccinated so we can all get back to normal. And a lot of us fell for that shit. A lot. I'm not the only one. I feel stupid about it now, but like that was how I viewed it. I think that's how a lot of people my age and younger that are on the more liberal side of the spectrum viewed it. Like, they weren't worried about dying. They weren't even necessarily worried about killing grandma because we knew that was a stupid fucking trope. And Gretchen Whitmer did a good enough job of that here in Michigan, and Andrew Cuomo in New York. But like that's the way I viewed it from the beginning. And now, like, the more and more data that comes out, the more and more fucking stupid I feel about just not about getting the vaccine necessarily, but like about how I felt about the vaccine.
I will never shame somebody for getting the vaccine, but I don't want someone to shame me for not wanting this.
Well, that was the whole point, right? That was the whole argument of like,
it wasn't that though.
The vaccine, but the vaccine was the thing that, like, throughout the whole COVID hysteria, that was like, here's a reason for you to hate your neighbor.
Yes.
Here's a reason for you to hate your neighbor. If you didn't get it, you are a piece of shit. You're going to kill sick people. You're going to kill my grandma by not getting this vaccine. And then if you did get it, your next door neighbor on the other side of the spectrum was, you're a shill. There's fucking baby parts in that vaccine. You know what I mean? Like, it was just another divisive subject that way too many of us that are way too smart fell for.
Yeah.
Corey has his numbers pulled up.
I'm just doing some math on my phone, and so 141 people of 80,000 people is like roughly 17%, but 365 of 1.2 million people is like like 3%. So the ratios for the people that are fully boosted is a hell of a lot lower
as far as ICU numbers.
But oh my God, fucking math is so frustrating.
It's not either of our strong suits.
Yeah. So,
that's why we do podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's why we don't work in tech.
But if you did, no, this one's a fluff. I don't have the algorithms in front of me to do it.
No, but like what you're saying
the L
is
on
that
this one. But regardless,
what you're saying is that according to New Zealand's numbers, what we're seeing on this table here is that the vaccine is minorly to moderately effective. And certainly not even close to what we were promised even a year ago.
Sure, but like let's think about this. Is why was there 1.23 million people who were fully boosted getting COVID and only 79,000 people who weren't vaccinated getting COVID?
Well, that's a different conversation. that's a completely different conversation because at the beginning, right? And that's what made us question the narrative from the beginning, right? Because from the beginning, it was, hey, if you get this vaccine, you won't even get infected, and it didn't. It took maybe fucking 3 weeks for us to figure out that was bullshit. So that's a completely different conversation. And I'm wondering if maybe it's the fact that just more people in New Zealand are vaccinated.
Well, yeah,
like
it
a
was
higher
one of those
percentage
countries that were putting you in camps.
Oh, it's Australia though, right?
I'm sorry, Australia.
Yeah, it's not the same place. They'll get offended.
Close enough.
They will definitely get offended.
You think they'll get offended?
Those newsies are pieces of shit, mate.
But yeah, no, I should have done my homework on this more, and I might have to revisit this because I need to figure out some algorithms to pilfer through all this stuff.
No, Corey, like I don't even think you do. Like I think this data. I think it just coincides with what we mostly knew. Is that we were lied to about how effective this vaccine was, but it is somewhat effective. And it's like, if you're old or if you're immunocompromised, like by all means, go fucking get the vaccine. Like,
and you know what? And you're right. That's something we've been saying on the show for the last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
But the reason we were pissed in the first place is like, don't fucking scare me into getting the vaccine because I'm going to kill my grandma.
That's fair.
Bullshit.
I just thought
that's bullshit.
When I first started looking at this, I thought I had someone dead to rights. Like, ha! But at best, it's just going with the narrative for the last year.
and like, it's so much more complicated than that, right? Because it leads into this died suddenly stuff
New Zealand's for not putting commas in their numbers. What's that shit about?
That's not fair. They're trying to fuck. Yeah, they're trying to throw you off. That's what they're trying to do. Trying to throw off the numbers.
This is New Zealand's fault.
It's those damn newsies.
So I'm curious to see, because New Zealand's actually just releasing this information. You'd be pretty hard pressed to find this here in America, because like when you try to look this stuff up, it's always just convoluted with random articles or one narrative from one side or the other, and like there's just no basic graph like this for the US that I've been able to find.
Or why so-and-so's data is less meaningful than anybody else's.
Well, that right there, that part that you said is something that America likes to do with our narratives. That's why I made sure to say the NIH.gov actually says Cochrane is a good article when it comes to the mass.
So,
but can we talk about how there was that leak about the email? So,
yeah, go ahead. I got to step away for just 1 second. I'll be back.
Okay. So
broke the seal.
There's an email leak that happened with that is considering that's regarding Fauci. And Dr. Anthony Fauci commissioned and edited the report he cited to disprove the lab leak theory. So if you guys remember, Anthony Fauci, when Trump was still president, Trump standing behind him at the literal press conference, and Fauci cites this article and says that, you see, this article right here states that the lab leak theory is pretty much debunked. Do you guys remember that? So an email leak just came out, and the fact is that the article he was citing, Fauci commissioned and then edited the report. Did you hear all that, Dan?
Yeah, I was listening the whole time.
Okay. So what is this like? So what does this sound like to you? He essentially created the news source that he cited in his press conference. And then when someone pressed him on it, he goes, well, this article disproves your thought process because of this, and this. It's something. Yeah,
that so Americans it's like
before, and so I'm hoping. I'm hoping
it's
you
like
can
CNN. It's like CNN pointing to a Washington Post article and saying, this is why white people are racist.
No. Yes, but this is literally what this tactic is literally what America did, the government, to get into the Iraq war. The CIA leaked little tidbits of what they think is happening in Iraq with the weapons of mass destruction to outlets like New York Times and things like that. And then when the press conference came along and then the government was being questioned, they go and they say, well, why do you think this? And they go, well, this New York Times article cites the CIA saying that there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and that's why we have to go there.
Oh, so he
literally did the same goddamn thing. He commissioned and edited the article that he used as his site for proof that the lab leak theory didn't exist when pressed on it, when he was doing his press conferences with Trump standing behind him.
Yeah, it's essentially the idea when you talk about the Iraq war of the government creating the media that they cite. That's where you're going at, right? That's what you're going for. Government
100%.
Creating the media that they cite, and that's what Anthony Fauci did.
And that's what everything was based off of. It. Everyone took this little tidbit of information and ran with it on CNN, MSNBC. All the different articles did that, and it's literally cookie cutter fucking Iraq war, dude. And now the Department of Energy and the FBI is coming out against that. Fucking 3 years later. Thank God it only took 3 years. Yeah, slow down. Well, they sped up, I guess, because the Iraq war took, 7 or 8 years? So it only took them 3 this time, so I guess we're getting better. When I saw this, I was just like, God damn it. And so the co-train thing and this thing, with all the media narratives that we've been seeing happening in our country play out via COVID for the last 3 years, it led me to this thought process that the conspiracy theorists in our country have the most faith in government, Dan.
Yes, I remember you telling me this last night during our show prep meeting. It's a very interesting angle. The conspiracy theorists
in our country
have the most faith in our government
than anyone else, because you and I realize that they're just incompetent pieces of shit and they can't get shit done. Conspiracy theorists, all of their beliefs are based on the fact that this government is being ran by this fine-tuned machine that is able to manipulate and do all of this stuff so perfectly that without any trace of breadcrumb of evidence, that they're able to manipulate and do everything so fucking perfectly that they're controlling the whole world. When Kathy Mayhew Warren is the one that says, don't chalk up anything for nefariousness when it can easily be written off as malfeasance or incompetence.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't chalk anything up to malfeasance that can easily be explained by incompetence. And
so God bless the conspiracy theorists, because they have more faith in the government than you or I do.
Dude, I've thought about that a lot, right? It's always like, it's this deep state cabal, whether you're talking about, Jeffrey Epstein, or whether you're talking about, the quote unquote New World Order or the globalists or whatever. It's like, you motherfuckers sure have a lot of faith that these incompetent motherfuckers in our government can pull this shit off. So yes, I agree with you. Conspiracy theorists do have the most faith in government than any of the rest. They do have more faith in government than any of the rest of us do.
Isn't that funny? Because they hate the government more than any of the rest of us do, but it's because they have so much faith in them.
That's exactly right. I think there's some. We should tie this up in a little bow. Maybe make this a segment about why conspiracy theorists have more faith in government than anybody else does, but they do it from a negative angle. Sorry, I think I got the hiccups. Must be the beer. Ooh.
It's that goddamn beer, Dan.
Yeah.
All right.
Trying to consume less gluten, so it makes sense.
What beer has gluten in it?
All of it.
Yeah. Unless you drink a cider,
beer
it's
is-
naturally good. Well, hard ciders are naturally gluten-free, Dan.
Well, and there's a few companies that make gluten-free beer. Like Omission makes gluten-free beer, and it's okay. It's not a bad beer. I'm not saying I'm gluten-free. I'm just trying to consume less gluten. I've noticed that it's made me, I don't know, not as spry as I once was. I still love pizza, pasta. Everybody chill out. Yeah,
Dude,
look at
why
my
did
face.
my pizza? I'm about to smash so
face
much
is
goddamn
my
pizza.
my face is less fat. Yeah, your fucking wife bought that pizza.
Bought pizza for me. That bitch.
Dude, I don't think we got to half the things
I'm
we
allowed
wanted
to
to get
say
to
that.
tonight.
So in my household, like old lady, old man, and bitch, like it's funny actually because they're almost terms of endearment in our household. To where me and my wife were like, "Hey, love you, bitch," and things like that. To the point to where my 3-year-old son was going to school, not thinking it was a bad word, and the teachers never said. No one said anything to us about it, but he came home from school, and he goes, "We can't say bitch at school."
My daughter comes up to me
And it was like, "Did you say that at school?" And he goes, No, but we can't say it.
Oh, that's a smart kid because he heard somebody else say it and they got in trouble. And now he knows he can't say bitch at school.
Oh, he's a fucking liar.
He's just saying a snitch.
He isn't. Dude, my kid isn't a snitch. Him and some of his friends are playing in the woods at recess. And a teacher saw another kid hit him with a stick. And when he got the little cut on his cheek, when the teacher asked him what happened, he said, "Yeah, I just hit a stick in the woods. I fell into a stick." And he's like, "Did somebody hit you?" And he goes, "No."
Either that, Corey,
boy.
watch out. Either that, or little CJ's being bullied and he's being told, "Hey, don't be a snitch."
No, because he also gets in trouble for like pushing kids down and hitting and stuff too. Like it's
all right. That's fair. So so
3 and
your
4-year-olds,
kid's the
man,
bully.
it's
No, your kid's the bully, Corey. And that kid was standing up for himself by smacking him in the face with a stick. That's
I
what
will go
happened.
smack that kid in the face with a stick if he's hitting my kid with sticks.
I come out in the living room today from taking a shower, and my daughter's crying.
Shit. I really did.
I say, "What's going on?" My daughter says, "Nothing. We're just playing Street Fight." I'm like, "What's that?"
like the old Super Nintendo game, Street Fighter? Like what?
No, Street Fight. Like her and her brother are street fighting in the living room.
She had a broken bottle in her hand.
Like she didn't want to snitch on her brother, but she's like, we're playing Street Fight.
It's that Hispanic in the family there, Belle. That's what that is.
I got hit in the face. I'm like, "By who?" She's like, "Mm-mm."
Michelle says that Coors Light is gluten free. There you go, Dan.
I don't know if that's
You and your silver bullets over there, always giving me shit whenever I'm not drinking Coors.
So is
I do love Coors. As far as piss water beer, Coors and PBR are my two favorites.
PBR is good, but I'm all about that Miller High Life.
Do you need,
Champagne beers.
I like Miller High Life. I like Miller
you
High Life
need
myself.
gluten-free beer?
I don't need gluten-free beer. God
Just
damn it!
want
Everybody's
gluten-free beer.
Have you tried St. Pauli's Girl?
I'm not drinking gluten-free beer right now. Like,
I'm
this
pretty-
is not.
Look at that. That looks pretty
gluten
gluten free to me, Dan.
You're yelling at me. I'm just asking.
Is that apple juice?
Oh, I'm the target of disdain.
Have you had St. Pauli's
Apple juice
Girl?
is gluten free. In case you wanted to know, Dan.
Yeah, your mother's gluten-free.
Probably not. She eats a lot of bread.
My whole family up north is gluten-free. They drink St. Pauli's Girl.
Okay, I
don't know. I'm just saying, dude.
I don't. Is
Don't worry
St.
about your
Pauli's
figure.
is St. Pauli's Girl underage? Like I need to make sure.
It's
because,
gluten-free.
all right,
That's
so
all I know.
gluten-free and underage. That's what I like.
I don't know the St. Pauli's Girl, but I know that they're gluten-free. Again,
I have gotten myself canceled at least 3 times on this particular episode. This is an historic moment.
I re-listened to our last episode, and I used like 2 or 3 derogatory slurs in jest. So we're both canceled.
And so did Joe Biden just 3 weeks ago.
slide.
So we're good.
Should I do a little rundown? A quick lightning round?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do a lightning round. I can't wait for this. I'm actually really excited.
All
My
right.
nipples are hard.
So
Let's go.
Florida Republicans are
Get me
tapping
out
into
of here.
fascism. This Republican Senator Jason Bruder from Florida wants to require bloggers to file periodic reports with the state if they are paid for
Oh, I
posts
saw
about
this.
the state governor, lieutenant, that are about the state's governor, lieutenant governor, cabinet members, or legislative officials. Bloggers would have to disclose who paid them and how much, along with information such as where the post is located online. They would be fined $25 for each day for the report is late, up to a maximum of $2,500 for each report. The legislation would not apply to content on the website of a newspaper or other similar publication.
So you want me to give my lightning round answer?
Yeah.
That's a violation of the First Amendment. Next,
100%. Guess what? Guess who agrees with you? Newt Gingrich.
Ron DeSantis and
No,
Ron
Newt Gingrich.
DeSantis
Ron
allegedly.
kind of loves it. That's what I
No, he
heard.
doesn't. He's I mean, he probably loves it because it's about him. But he also
Hey,
said he had nothing to do. He also said he had nothing to do with the bill.
Yeah.
So who knows? It's
Yeah.
probably a combination of mine and
Both.
Bell's explanation.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So
Um,
Newt Gingrich agrees with me. So that's that. I never thought I'd say that in my life. East Palestine updates.
Leaked audio reveals U.S. rail workers were told to skip inspections as Ohio crash prompts scrutiny and security. In leaked audio heard by The Guardian, a manager of one of the U.S.'s largest rail companies can be heard explaining to a former carman that they should stop taking rail cars for broken bearings. The manager says it was delaying other cargo. And this goes with, what's it called? What's that thing that they do? Precision rail scheduling or something like that. So like they consolidated all the different rail lines running and they're just making it all to all one car. That's why rail cars are getting longer and longer and longer. That they're just running one line like for hundreds of miles to like a depot, divvying up the trains and then sending them off in all different directions. Well, if that one rail line that is being relied on by all these different smaller subsidiaries, and because they have to stop because fucking bearing went and god damn it, now we have to stop the rail for safety is an issue. They're saying stop doing that. And I've been on rail lines when I took the Amtrak across the country, and like you do have to stop every once in a while when a freight line is stopped, and so they're like upset about it. And this is just more evidence of why Biden shouldn't have stuck his nose into the fucking strikes that were impending.
Oh God, yeah. Who and then,
Yeah.
like and then you
Because
then you have
we at
Norfolk
this point
Southern.
we know we can't blame Trump.
Then you have oh yes we can if you listen to Pete Buttigieg. Then you have Norfolk Southern finally going, oh yeah, we're gonna fix things now. We're gonna make things much more safer now because we got.
You know why
Yeah,
they're
but
fixing
it's
things
nice.
though? This is why it's fucked up. You know why they're fixing things? Not because you or I are pissed, because their shareholders are pissed.
Well, it took someone to
Are
die.
they?
It took someone to die. A conductor.
Took a lot of people to
One
die.
of their trains to die.
Oh, a conductor. I see what you're
Yes.
saying.
I got article.
Yeah, they
Actually.
didn't care. They didn't care about the
No.
poisoned water in East Palestine. Who gives a shit
No,
about
it took
that?
one
A
of their
conductor
conductors
died.
to die in Ohio.
Really?
Nonetheless, yes. Give me one.
Now, did he
second.
have a stroke? Did he have a stroke like that apparent goofball on January 6th that nobody can explain why it happened?
No, he hit a dump truck.
Oh, so that other derailment that happened in Southfield
I'm gonna send the article.
or
in the private chat.
Springfield, Michigan. That other conductor that was on the train that hit that dump truck in Springfield, Ohio. Is that the one you're talking about?
Dude,
Oh no, Cleveland. When did that happen?
Cleveland.
this happened,
Cleveland.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about Cleveland. Their
Tuesday
rivers
morning.
catch on
The-
fire.
The
Tuesday.
armpit of the Great Lakes, Cleveland, Ohio.
It really is. Ohio's the armpit of America. Have you ever
No,
seen
that's
that
Buffalo, New
video?
York.
Have you ever seen that video about Cleveland?
I've been to Cleveland multiple times. I've seen it. People are very nice. They're good. They're good. They're good humans. They're so good they shouldn't be living in Cleveland.
Only since we're bringing up Cleveland, I gotta share this because this is fucking hilarious.
This should be good.
Cleveland,
Slow down.
come down to Cleveland town, everyone. Come and look at both of our buildings. Buy some food that's prepared near the street. Who knows, you might even see this guy. You should come on down to West 6th Street. It's the perfect place if you're a douchebag. Watch the poor people all wait for buses. Who the fuck still uses a payphone? Here's the place where there used to be industry. This train is carrying jobs out of Cleveland. Cleveland leads the nation in drifters. Here's a statue of Moses Cleveland. He's the guy who invented Cleveland. Yeah!
You know what's so funny is like the one time the couple of times I've been to Cleveland were to see baseball games. The one time was a guy's trip that I used to do where we were just trying to see a bunch of major league ballparks. So we went there. I don't know why, because mostly because the guy that I was with is really cheap and he didn't want to go very far. So Cleveland's really close, and that's where we went. But the other time was actually to go down and see the Tigers play, because I had some free tickets, and it was weird because I like partied with the umpires afterwards. That's a story for another day. I actually partied with major league umpires. That was fun as fuck.
Dude, I
We'll
partied
talk
with New
about
York
that.
Yankees once, but that's also a story for
I'm
another day.
jealous.
You shut the fuck up. The umpires are so much better. I have a picture with Country Joe West while he was hammered. But anyway,
I wasn't allowed to
the-
take pictures with A-Rod or Jeter.
That's amazing.
those are the two times I went to Cleveland, and all I've noticed is that there's just no other reason to go there other than to watch a baseball game.
I've been to Cleveland once.
And then to make fun of Cleveland even further, right? Even when okay, hold on. I don't want to say the wrong name. They're now the Guardians. The Guardians and former Indians, when they were good, if you looked up in right field, like to the upper deck, I don't care if they could have been 57-0. There was nobody in the stands.
No one in Cleveland gives a shit about baseball.
In the upper deck. Nobody fucking cares about baseball in
Were you
Cleveland.
disrespected?
Me? For being a Tiger
Yeah.
fan?
Yeah.
No. I didn't have any
Alright.
issues.
So I went to Nashville as a Red Wings fan, and I was straight up disrespected for an hour until Pavel
Well, that's
Datsyuk
because
for the hat trick.
that's because for a while the Red Wings were viewed as the Yankees of hockey.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense.
Well, not only that, it's amazing how many people from Nashville used to be from Detroit and fans, and they go out of their way to disrespect Detroit fans. But we won, and I got a lot of free drinks out of it.
God, I fucking love Nashville.
Oh,
Sounds like you got a lot of. Sounds like Bell got a lot of free drinks tonight. We got to wrap this bitch up.
All right.
We're an hour and 28 in.
I paid for them.
All right.
Bought this bottle. It's great.
Yeah, but you sound like they were free.
Let's save the Walgreens thing for next week.
We don't have to do show prep on the show, Corey. You don't have to tell people that.
And then then we're done. That's it.
All right, this has been Libservative, the show of intellectual idiots fostering
Libservative
political and cultural
podcast.
literacy. I was going to say, Corey, tell the people where they can find us. You didn't even let me finish. Go ahead.
Can I finish, please? The Libservative podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter, LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today and give us a rating, give us a ranking. It helps more people catch the show and hear it and see what's going on.
More importantly, helps our dicks get hard.
Oh, also, be on the lookout. I recently guested on Out of the Blank podcast. And also be on the lookout. We're going to be interviewing some people from the Forward Party this week.
Yes,
So
that's
that
true.
episode will be coming out soon.
I'm glad you remember that from the Michigan chapter. We'll have that. I'm going on vacation, but I'm still going to be doing this interview. It'll be coming out sometime in the coming weeks. For our wonderful producer / Googler / jack of all trades, Bell the Body Snatcher, he, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He is Dan Griffin.
This has been Libservative, and until next time, we are out of here.
Peace.